$30,000. Delta has finally put a price on it. They no longer care about SkyMiles, the very loyalty system they created. They don't care how many flights you take or who you are personally. They want $30,000. They want money if you want to become Delta Diamond. I actually applaud the transparency. It's like that scene in The Big Short where Ryan Gosling gives that crazy presentation to Steve Carell and his crew. I actually respect the self-interest and their blatant transparency.
How come you don't hate this guy? He's everything you taught us not to trust.
I can't hate him. He is so transparent in his self-interest that I kind of respect him.
Yes, the amount is insane, but if you've worked in business or sales, typically your best terms, perks, and benefits usually and should be given to your very top customers. And like it or not, top customers are in business defined as those that give you the most revenue. So there's a lot to unpack here, but I really want to keep this video casual and conversational. I want to talk about how we got here, why it actually cost much more than $30,000 to become Delta Diamond. I want to talk about the perks that come along with Delta Diamond. I'm going to reveal the exclusive insider menu that you actually get to order off of every year when you're Delta Diamond. I'm going to show you the picks that I chose for this year. And I also want to talk about some of the problems as well as the strategy that I would use and that I do use to become Delta Diamond. So things are more complicated yet simplified than ever before. You still earn SkyMiles. You still redeem them on free flights, hotels, even goods. But they no longer are relevant when it comes to qualifying for status. With status comes the benefits and perks. To get silver, gold, platinum, or diamond, it's no longer about miles, it's about dollars. MQDs to be specific. Back in the day, it was all about miles. When I first started flying with Northwest and Delta, the more you flew, the more mileage you had, the more perks you got. That could be LAX to JFK every other week. That could be Seattle to Tokyo once a month. It could be Detroit to Toronto every day. All miles were treated equally, but the issue was not all of them were of equal profitability to Delta. LAX to JFK compared to Salt Lake to Orlando, maybe the same amount of miles on paper, give or take, but to Delta, they had much different profitabilities. Savvy travelers exploited this and started racking up tons of miles on the cheaper flights. And to kind of curtail that a little bit, a while back, Delta put in a minimum spend threshold. You still had to fly a lot, but you also had to spend a minimum amount of money to reach the higher status. Basically, now here we are, and Delta says, we're going to cut the nonsense. We don't care how much you fly. We just care about how much you spend. Now, I know a lot of you airline nerds are shouting right now and saying, James, it's not $30,000 to qualify for Delta Diamond. It's $28,000. But au contraire, my fellow airline nerd, it is much more than that because not all of the flight costs count towards qualification. If you take a look at JFK to LAX, you see the overall ticket costs, but if you open up the taxes and fees, those do not apply towards your qualification nugget. Now, from JFK to LAX, that's about 11%. But let's take a look at one of my least favorite flights, JFK to Punta Cana. If you take a look at the breakdown on this fare, 35% of the ticket costs are fees and taxes. Those do not apply to your qualification status. And if you take a look at JFK to Heathrow, that is approaching 40% of the ticket cost. So technically the qualification status is $28,000, but realistically, you're spending at least $30,000, if not $35,000 or $40,000. So that is a ton of money, whether it's $28,000, $30,000, $40,000, it is just an insane amount. What do you get for it? There are really two different sections of benefits. You have the standard benefits of Delta Diamond, and then you have the insider a la carte choice benefits. Those are actually the most amazing part of the overall program. I'm going to show you what I selected for this year and reveal all of them. The standard benefits, they're really nothing crazy. I have been a Delta Diamond for 8 of the last 10 years. I'm a million miler, I think 1.249 million at this point. You kind of become blasé with the standard benefits after a while. The upgrades are fantastic. I do get upgraded usually almost all the time, even out of the busiest airports like Atlanta and Minneapolis, which are hubs for Delta. The other noteworthy standard benefit is the Clear membership. That is nice to have. I do use it occasionally, but not as much as I would like to since I'm TSA PreCheck, and that is way better. And I guess the other noteworthy thing would be the dedicated Delta Diamond line. Although the people on the other end of it can only do so much, I do encounter a great individual from time to time that really does do me a favor. And the waiting time is minimal, if anything at all, when I do have to call. But really the juicy stuff, the stuff that keeps you in the program, the coolest thing about being a Delta Diamond is what they call choice benefits. And choice benefits is basically a menu of options that you order off of every year. You get to select the things that mean the most to you. If you are a Delta Diamond, you get to select 3 things. If you're a Delta Platinum, you do get an a la carte menu, by the way. It's more of a diet version of this one, and you only get 1 option. But the cool thing is that when you're Diamond, you get to order 3 things off the Diamond menu, and because you already reached Platinum, you get 1 thing off the Platinum one as well, so you get 4 choices altogether. Honestly, it's the only reason that I stay with the program. It's the only reason I put up with Delta's shenanigans. So let's go over the choices very quickly. Let me know which ones you would choose, and at the end, I'll tell you the ones that I selected and why I did so. The first option is 4 global or 8 regional upgrade certificates. Each certificate allows you to upgrade to business class Delta One or first class regionally with purchasing just a main fare ticket. So you purchase a regular ticket, you call Delta, and they upgrade you to business class or first class. This turns a $900 ticket to London into a $10,000 Delta One ticket, or it turns a $700 base ticket to Cancun to a $2,000 to $3,000 first class ticket. One thing to note is that 1 certificate applies to one way. So a round trip ticket requires 2 certificates. The second benefit is a $700 American Express credit. They'll take $700 right off your bill at the end of the month. You do need to have a Delta credit card, but nonetheless, it's basically like a $700 gift card. The third option is 6,000 Starbucks points. I have been off the Starbucks spigot for a while, so you can basically get a latte every single day for a month straight. The third benefit is an MQD accelerator. If you want to start gaining status for the next year, you can dedicate $2,000 towards that. The fourth option is gifting status to another person. You can gift gold status to 2 people. Maybe you have a companion that you travel with quite a bit and you want them to be in the same priority line as you, or you want to give them some help towards gaining status. You can gift it to 2 people. The next one is a Delta vacation voucher for $500. You can book hotels and transportation, things other than flights on Delta. They'll give you a $500 gift card for that. You can also do a Delta travel voucher for $350. This also applies to hotels as well. If you have a dream, a goal, or maybe an event like a wedding that you want to take a private jet to, Delta will give you a $2,000 credit towards Wheels Up, which is a private jet brokerage company. Another menu item is a $250 contribution towards Delta's own sustainable fuel fund. If you do want a Sky Club membership, you can select it here, but you have to do 2 menu choices to get it. It's going to take up 2 of your options, which is quite a bit. Let me know below which ones you would choose. Here are mine. I'm basic or rational, whichever way you want to take a look at it. I chose definitely the upgrades, the 4 international upgrades. Each one of those are worth like $10,000, so it's $20,000 right there. I think it's probably the best bang for your buck. It allows you to fly to Bali, Tokyo, wherever you want in the world for basically 10% of the cost. So that is an incredible deal. I definitely selected those. And in terms of the other ones, I just want my money back. I just chose the vouchers or gift cards. You can double up on a lot of these selections. So I chose it twice, and then I went back for my Platinum and got a $300 voucher there. The only other ones that I would consider would be the $700 Amex credit that actually has a ton of value. The only reason I didn't select it is because it takes 6 to 8 weeks to hit your statement. Basically, I'm floating Delta $700 for a couple months. I don't want to do that. And then the other one would be the MQD accelerator. You could double up on this one as well. You could put $4,000 towards that $28,000 for the next year. But what you're essentially doing is a hamster wheel. You're just basically giving your money back to Delta and you're not extracting any value. The ones I would absolutely never do is give my money back to Delta for their sustainable fuel fund. That's their job. No way that's happening. And although I am extremely empathic and generous, almost to a fault, there's no way after spending $30,000 to $35,000 with Delta, I'm gifting gold to anyone. I'm taking all the value back that I can get. So that's it. That's basically what you get for being Delta Diamond. I'm not saying it's worth it. The international upgrades to Delta One definitely have meaning and value to me, although I'm not sure it justifies $30,000 to $35,000 a year. But if you are Platinum and you're looking for a way to get up to Diamond, or if you want to transition to Diamond, this is how I actually do it. So first of all, you have to get the Delta Reserve card, okay? It's $650 a year. I know that's a lot, but it actually does pay for itself. You get a lot for it. And most importantly, the reason I bring it up is you get 2,500 MQDs that qualify for status each year, basically 10%. So that's a big deal. Also, for every one of your purchases, 10% goes towards MQDs. So if you spend $2,000 a month on the card, annually, that's another $2,500 that will count towards your qualification dollars. So we're at $5,000 right there. Next thing I would do would be to get the Delta Amex card. You get a lot of the same benefits. A lot of them are redundant, although you can use them. You get another companion certificate. So that's 2 times a year that a companion can fly with you if you purchase a ticket yourself. And then you also get another $2,500 MQD. So there's $7,500 right there. I should note this one is a little cheaper. I think it's about $350 a year as an annual fee. But now we're at $7,500. If I really cared about Delta Diamond status, I would probably double up on the MQD accelerator back into choice benefits. I'd probably do at least $2,000, if not $4,000 towards that. But again, that's kind of hamster wheelish. So let's just assume we're at $7,500 right now. You're gonna have to fly. There's no way around it. You're gonna have to fly. You're gonna have to be a traveler. Let's say you're already a Platinum and the MQD amount to get the Platinum is $15,000. Let's say of that $15,000, you fly $10,000 worth of flights a year. So now we're basically at $18,000 and we need another $10,000 to get to Delta Diamond. Very simply, this is so basic, but it's often overlooked. What I do and what I recommend is booking your hotels on Delta Vacations. For every dollar on a hotel you spend, they give you $1 MQD. The rates are actually extremely competitive compared to like in Expedia. You do have to pre-book or at least pay 30 days in advance. But if you're taking one grand vacation a year, you might hit your nugget right there. Or if you're just taking 1 week vacations 4 times a year, you're going to hit your Delta Diamond status. In fact, even if you are flying constantly, I just don't know how you get there. So you really have to be in the Delta ecosystem and take full advantage of it in order to reach Diamond these days, for better or for worse. There are 2 problems that I see, 2 major problems with the Delta Diamond program right now. I do like the transparency. I actually do respect that the rules are basically now open and fair, even though they are predicated on money. But by doing so, it does kind of eliminate the core Delta traveler. The person, maybe a business person who takes the JFK to LAX route or a similar route, once a month or every 3 weeks for business. They've been a Delta customer for years. That person is kind of being left behind and trumped by the person who comes in and maybe buys 2 Delta One tickets a few times a year. So Delta is kind of eroding the core business traveler or the core general traveler together, and they're kind of focusing on the people who spend the most. I do kind of see that as a problem because the little guy at least kind of always had a spotlight with Delta, but not anymore. And then the other big problem would be that MQDs do not roll over. This is a huge problem for me this year. I think last year I maybe had close to $10,000 over my threshold, and I expected that to roll over this year, and they didn't. So basically Delta is saying, if you spend over $28,000 with us, we don't want your business anymore, take it somewhere else. And I wish that if I invested more in them, they would appreciate it and return that investment back to me the next calendar year. But no rollover MQDs, so there's really no reason to spend any more than the $28,000 threshold with Delta. My thoughts are Delta clearly thinks there are too many Delta Diamonds. Even though Delta Diamonds are only 1% of all SkyMiles members and 0.01% of all travelers, Delta clearly thinks there are too many, so they're trying to thin the herd a little bit. And just overall, I think that Delta is moving in the right direction. For the past couple decades, domestic airlines have mistreated customers financially and in terms of experience. Flying is dreadful, but Delta recently has made positive steps. They've actually admitted some wrongdoings. They are increasing the benefits and overall quality of their services, whether it's from the cabins, the meals, and the Sky Clubs. But it is coming at a cost. And if you're Delta Diamond, that cost is $28,000, $30,000, $35,000. I do hope that there are more benefits upcoming. I just wish that the core traveler and the road warrior, or that person who was always faithful, the person who was always in that Delta seat for years, who may not have always spent the most, but was always the most loyal, I just wish that person wasn't becoming completely eroded.